What is happening, roadies? Thank you so much for swinging by and checking out this short clip. I'm very excited. This week's interview is with three people, three incredible filmmakers and audio personnel in their own right. That's right, we're talking about Caroline Losneck, April Tucker, and Christoph Gelfand, the filmmaking team behind Living Sound, a documentary about Ethel Gabriel. Who is Ethel Gabriel? Well, we're going to find out in this short clip, but real quick, Ethel Gabriel was a very accomplished female producer who was around in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. She produced well over 5,000 songs for the likes of Elvis Presley, Dolly Parton. The list is huge and long, so you got to stick around and check it out. In this short clip, I asked these folks about her, what kind of person she was, and if the weight of being one of the first women in her position weighed on her, if the fact that she was closed off from certain opportunities got to her, if she carried some angst about that. We get into that and many, many more. If you want to listen to the full interview, check out the link in the description below. Hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel so you find out when all sorts of new videos are coming out as well. Also want to let you guys know that Living Sound, the Ethel Gabriel documentary, is executive produced by Miss Carrie Kais, one of the most awesome people that I know, as well as the founder of SoundGirls.org and Pearl Jam's long time, we're talking like since the 90s, monitor engineer. So this film has a lot of good juju around it. You're going to want to check it out when it comes out. Don't forget, listen to that full episode. Link is in the description. Let me know if you've heard of Ethel Gabriel. Leave me a comment in the box below and we'll chat it up.
Call yourself a roadie.
What kind of woman was Ethel Gabriel? From what you've, and I mean more, going back through her career, was she someone who carried the angst of being a first in her field a lot of the way? Was she, obviously, she must have been proud about that, but you know what I mean? Like, did it get her down that she didn't have certain opportunities or get some recognition along the way? Or was she just a stubborn fighter who just kept going?
I'll take a stab, but I'm curious what you will say too.
Okay.
You cut out for a second, Larry, but I think I got your question. I got the gist of it.
Okay.
What kind of person was she to keep persevering through? Yeah.
Well, and did she carry the angst of not getting certain accolades or possibilities or opportunities and whatnot?
Right. I mean, my sense is that she, like, by staying at RCA for so many years, there was something that she felt confident and comfortable in her position, and confident and competent too, and like, taking a doomed kind of part of RCA, which was the Camden line, and resurrecting it and turning it into a profitable line when everybody maybe thought it might not succeed financially, and turning it into like a moneymaker probably gave her this resolve that she could do these things. And talking to some of her, like some of the colleagues who she met at RCA, maybe there were conversations behind the scenes that she had. She's a human being. She probably had a side of her that was pissed at times. Like, let's face it, she's a human just like the rest of us. Mm-hmm. But I think her exterior maybe was like somebody who was confident and capable, and she presented and did her work and made the company a lot of money, frankly. So I feel like that was sort of what came through to me.
Yeah, there's Dolly Parton gave a quote sometime in the last couple of years where she basically said, I've never looked at myself as a woman working in a men's industry. I'm just doing my job. And we've heard Ethel kind of say the same. But I know I actually did hear a story from a coworker of hers who was on the A&R side, who said that they would kind of joke sometimes. So everyone was aware of the fact that she was the only woman. I mean, I think they even called her she was kind of known as the A&R, was it the A&R? A&R lady, that's what it was. But at the same time, I know there was an author who had interviewed her in the 80s who her takeaway from it was that Ethel was just kind of starting to reflect on what she could have had And that was, I don't know if that was around the time she retired, or if part of that was maybe seeing these other women around her who were going on to be successful. Like she worked with Linda Moran, who is the president of the, you know what, I probably shouldn't say this because I'm going to get it wrong, but it's the Songwriters Hall of Fame. So let me just put it this way. So Ethel did work with some women who, at RCA, who did go on to have very successful careers, and high profile careers. But yeah, I mean, I think some of that's just her personality. Like even, you know, she wanted to go to college for forestry, I think it was. And her dad encouraged her to do that. So this would have been the, you know, 1920s, 1930s. And at the time, you couldn't even enroll or apply for that program if you were a woman. So that's actually why she went into music, was because music was something that would accept her. And I think, I'm not sure if her degree was music performance or if it was music education, but I could totally see a woman at the time being kind of pushed towards the education side of it.
And also, I mean, there was what year did she write the letter into Billboard? And was it 1990 or something, where she wrote the letter about, you know, pushing back against the record men, basically. So she was, you know, later in her career, basically, maybe sort of saying, like, starting to set the record straight a little bit more, maybe, you know, saying,
what was
like,
the letter? Hey,
there's record women. April, you want to set that up? It's like, it was a response to a
let me just
a
pull
book
it up
by Fred Dannon, I think.
I want to make sure I get this right, so let me quick pull it up. If we have a second.
Yeah, we have tons of seconds.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. I got this like whole archive of, let's see, media mentions of Ethel, Billboard.
So,
she basically pushed back on the notion that there were these only record men. It was sort of like a language distinction thing, where somebody had written about record men have ears, and she's like, record women have ears too. And she went on and said, including me, and then she listed other women in the industry who she knew to be, you know, great producers or great members of the music industry. So she, you know, so this was after she would have already been gone from RCA at the time.
Yeah.
Retired, but I think maybe as she, you know, as you look back on your life and career as you get older, I'm sure you're kind of like, hey, this is my chance to kind of set that record straight and write my own history and record it as I remember it. And that's what she did.
Yeah, you summed that up well. And I think the one thing to add is I think it's interesting, like just the fact that she went 40 years in her career, never really publicly expressing any sort of dissatisfaction or concern about being a woman in the industry, that you know, she started getting involved in advocacy groups in the 1980s, but even that was kind of this like private, off to the side thing. You know, I'm sure it wasn't public at all. So for her to take a public stance, and not just a public stance, but in the biggest publication at the time, to say, hey guys, this is bullshit, women can do this too. I mean, she literally said women have ears too. It's a really pivotal moment. And it's funny because now that we're talking about this, I'd never really thought about how pivotal that really is, like how significant it is at that time. Because even for me, I came into the industry in started school for audio in 99. And I remember going my first AES, there were still booth babes. And you know, which for anyone who doesn't know, that's women who literally were dressed in tiny clothes or bikinis or whatever, and they would take your picture next to the XYZ booth for whatever brand. And that was my introduction into the industry. And so you just learn quickly, for me as a 19-year-old seeing that, or a 20-year-old, you kind of just learn, okay, this is the dynamic. You just keep your mouth shut. Like, the guys are going to do what they want, and if I want to be involved, I'm just going to just kind of like chill and not make waves. And so the fact that Ethel in 1990 would make waves is really phenomenal.
That's amazing. Well, that's a great segue. But before I get to my segue, hold on. I want to hit something else you guys said a while back, which was when her boss left for that day. Herman, was that his name?
Herman Diaz Jr.
Herman Diaz left for the day, and she basically was able to step up and do it. It was because she had been there and she'd been paying attention and whatnot. I just want to hit that little lesson because I think, right, that's opportunity knocking. And a lot of times we're in a position with a job or a project or whatever, we're kind of like, I'm just marking time. I'm just not, this is not the thing. But if you do pay attention and you are ready, you can step up. So,
yep. And she used to just bring her trombone. So I think the record plant, I think, was just down the street or within a couple blocks of the recording studios. So that wasn't even her job at the studio. She was working at the record plant, had her trombone with her in tow, probably because she's coming from school or whatever, or just carrying it around, would just hang out at sessions, whether it was outside, inside. She got to jam with a bunch of major artists at the time. They kind of just got to know her. So she was just there and hanging out. And I mean, I remember getting the advice of just be a good hang, just be someone that people want to be around. And especially
be a good coffee getter.
Yeah, exactly. And in the studio
somebody who's
world,
really good at getting coffee.
Yeah. And I know that there's people today who kind of look at that and go, why should I do that? I could go use my cell phone and go meet people on Facebook and find talent. But I think that at the end of the day, there's an artistry to what we do that has been passed down for 3-4 generations now. And if we don't continue to pass it down, it's just going to be lost. There's only so much you can learn watching a YouTube video. So there is value in caring about the contributions of the people who came before you.
So there you go, guys. Don't forget, you can listen to the full episode by clicking the link in the description below. Great to have you here. Hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and man, I'll see you in the next one down the road.